You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This isn't Mike Rivero, but welcome to the What Really Happened show. Good afternoon for Western Montana. I am your host, Keith Rogers of Perception Management, which airs on Sundays at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm sitting in for Mike Rivero, who I hope is out getting a loyal dog. But anyway, with me today is Steve Elkins, a.k.a. the Gator Man from Florida, who hosts the Off the Beaten Path, which airs also on Sunday evenings and does a lot of fill-ins for John, who's always gone. And also fellow ham operator W5MZ David from Crucial Nonsense is on board to lend to the show as well.
Sure happy it's Thursday.
I thought you were going to say Monday.
You got to say it a few more times like
Yeah.
Mike Rivero does it.
Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Well, I already got one of them in there, so there you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, anyway, I wanted to interject into this also. And I awoke to the world around me in 1970s when I got into shortwave and stuff back in the ham radio days. Got just getting out of CB and into shortwave, talking around the world and to other ham operators. And many of you have probably heard it when I first woke up was when I talked to a young Soviet boy who was the same age that I was. And I still hear his reply to my question as to what was it like to be Russian? And his reply was, anything that you're doing, I am doing. And then he paused, but then he added with emphasis, anything. And so you, the listener, can think back then when you were 19 and what you were doing in your lives. And of course, the design nowadays is to keep everyone at constant odds with everyone. Anyone with web access can watch videos from all over the world and verify that kids are all the same. Them evil Russians, hey, they love to 4x4, play basketball and other sports, have hobbies, love guns. Boy, do they love guns. Just to name a few. And also Americans, like Americans, they can't drive either, especially the women. Hi. But there's, you could watch months and months of these fail videos out there, as well as for people being drunk. But people all over the world, I don't care if you're in Saudi Arabia, if you're driving your car on two wheels, people are all the same. They're idiots, But within that, in today's show, there is kind of where I'm going to go today with the NSC 68. It was intended to create fear in a crisis. And of course, TV commercials of our old days of the duck and cover videos and so on. In fact, as an adult, you should go to YouTube and revisit all them cartoons that you and I used to watch as children and see with an open mind now how they were tools for programming. Just as after the commercial break, the voice would always say, "We now return you to our children's programming." I remember Khrushchev when he says, "We will bury you." Of course, that wasn't America directly, but what it was the fact is that communism would outlast capitalism. And I think that's coming to a close, this capitalist society that we live in. Remember that Abraham Lincoln said that Americans can only be destroyed from within, as no foreign power could overcome such a large and powerful nation as America. And so today, we are faced with the destruction of this country, and it's being met out or wrought out by those in our own government. This constant infighting, the Democrats against the Republicans, and they're setting the communities against each other. They're using this racial divide. If it isn't that, it's a military divide. And you can see that no matter where you go, especially in your news, especially YouTube videos. But you have to look with an open mind to see what is the message that they're sending to you. And as far as Khrushchev, though, this was all about opening up Africa to the Soviet commerce there. And of course, this is what spurred the Angola War and all this stuff, and the CIA covert wars there, which then was to defrock the Cubans that were over there, who wound up staying there and operating all the U.S. oil fields and stuff. But Kissinger of that time there, I remember when they sent the U.S. mercenaries into Angola, and John Stockwell, ex-CIA, talked about this quite a bit as it was his turf, I guess you could call it there. But when they caught these, and this reminds me of Venezuela, But when they caught those paramercenaries over there, uh, Kissinger wouldn't deal with them, with the government over there. He just says we don't deal with terrorists, and they watched those American boys just get executed, of which the parents didn't even know their sons were serving the CIA over there in Angola there. So wars, as you know, are all for commerce, just as the psychological one waged on the U.S. with viruses and other fear campaigns. And where oddly there's an ethics committee. You imagine that a political forum there in Washington D.C. that has an ethics committee, and they use it because we see here recently of those who have dumped their stocks right before this COVID-19 outbreak. So you have to ask yourself, how did they know? Again, America can only be destroyed from within. So power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. With that, I want to ask Stevie.
Yes.
You see a lot of things that I don't see, because one thing I like about the internet is, like, I have a friend Dave over there in Spain that I talk to quite a bit on Twitter and both on VK.com there. But and even Ian is another friend of mine that I had on my show once there. But when you talk across the pond to these other places, you realize that these people are not dumb and they see what's going on. You have a different perspective because you live in kind of like a retirement state.
Well,
And
yeah, I do actually. Some of my listeners, and I won't give them all by name. One, I'll just give the first name, John, and he lives out in Thailand. And I'm finding a lot of people. And had another caller from Sweden. I'm finding that people abroad are more educated to really what's going on here in this country than we are ourselves. But I can only assume that they have a much better information system there than we have. The mainstream media is is controlled. It's we've got Operation Mockingbird going on right now, phase 2, and that's I don't see that to change. And I'm not sure when people are finally going to get enough of it. I mean, we saw the ratings go down a little bit, and I'm not sure what it takes for the people to finally pull away. They get caught red-handed all the time lying. And I actually wanted to mention that. It's a good opportunity to mention a lie that was spun by the mainstream media last couple of days. And I haven't seen it change yet, that the rhetoric on this. But going back to that video of George Floyd with the officer kneeling on his neck, the sternocleidomastoid area, region of the neck, he had his head turned sideways. The mainstream media is reporting something much different, because that's more alarming. It's frightening. It instills anger, and with anger comes aggression and acting out, which is what they want. The mainstream media wants to continue fanning these flames. They really want this because this is good news for them. News today in the mainstream media, I think Dave, you and Keith, you might agree with me on this, is really not information. It is entertainment. That's exactly what we have today. Mainstream media is entertainment. So they're spinning this new story now, is that the officer was kneeling on his throat. Well, I say the video. It's not the throat. Now, the throat is a totally different region. If you flipped him over on his back like a turtle, and you were on his throat, you would have compressed the Adam's apple there. You would have compressed the trachea itself. You would have impeded the gas exchange, the airway, and the person would have become hypoxic, and he finally would have blacked out. That's not what we saw. We did not see somebody flipping him over and kneeling on his throat. We saw the neck. So it is quite different here. Just as also 2 days ago, they reported tear gassing by the security for Donald Trump before he went to do his photo op holding the Bible at the St. John's Episcopal Church. Well, that wasn't tear gas. If it was tear gas, you would have had officers in gas masks. You see, this is the spin. These are the lies of the mainstream media that they seem to get away with, and nobody seems to challenge that except us. We challenge it. But I wanted to clarify throat versus neck. There's a big difference here, and they're spinning the lie of that the officer was kneeling on his throat. A big lie.
Steve, you made a good observation, because I forget the other black fellow there that was in New York who was selling cigarettes by the individual there. Hell, they do that at all the taverns here in Montana, you know.
all the time.
But they're not paying taxes for it there. But remember, they got him in a neck hold, and that's where they collapsed his throat on that individual. But I just received this.
That would have been a chokehold.
Yeah,
right.
and they would have actually collapsed his airway there. But I just received this on Twitter. It says, I'm going to provide some history of this neo-Confederate white identity apocalyptic evangelicalism, which I call the cult of the shining city. And of course, this is what Trump was messaging yesterday with his Bible stunt. And, we see that this is an election year. And that's the problem that we're having, is all this pandering. And the reason I want to mention that, like for Florida and everything like that, when I hear a politician, and this really gripes me too, like Senator John Kennedy yesterday, there was a video on YouTube where it says GOP senator speaks out on George Floyd's death and protest, and it says, this is just intolerable, he says. Of course, this is pandering. And of course, why is that? Well, the resolution to order the removal of troops from Yemen in 2019 and that roll call, which was a resolution directing the president to remove U.S. armed forces from the hostilities in Yemen, he voted nay. He's 100% hawkish on foreign policy all the time. So This is the doublespeak that we have to put up with these politicians. The bombing campaign over there, which has killed an estimated 1,729 civilians, which aren't only Arab Muslims, they're blacks too, And this same thing with Libya, when we see all these blacks being sold right back into slavery after the Obama era. These guys are
well. You can also go back to the Clinton era, Keith and Dave, with Rwanda.
Yes,
I mean, geez, that was genocide in Rwanda. What was going on there?
Israel supplied the arms.
I never heard any blacks. I never heard any blacks in the United States voicing their opposition and out in the streets protesting that their race was being exterminated in Rwanda. I never heard anybody in the streets. Never saw anybody.
Serve the agenda.
Yeah, and of course, remember, Israel supplied the arms for Rwanda and the Miramar genocides. The list goes on to Honduras. Of course, I'll be talking about that a little bit later on here, like I do on my show all the time like that, because I don't believe in having to sit out here and talk about Joe Biden's mental conditions as a problem for America here. If you as Americans, if you vote, if you can't realize that someone has got dysphoria
yeah.
and want to vote for that individual, you can imagine how his administration is going to go. Like, I don't remember I pushed that red button. But anyway, one thing I have noticed, guys,
it's all about
here,
plausible deniability, Keith.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
David.
remember. I don't recall the Ronald Reagan defense.
Yeah,
it works for a politician.
Yeah, it does.
Or I have no recollection. Works also.
Yes.
Yeah. Hillary used that a lot.
Yeah. What gets me is, and I was going to get into this like I do on my shows, because perception management is the ability to for the military to project its message and for it to be accepted. And you can look that up on Wiki if you'd like there. But the Angolan War was one of independence, just like remembering Ho Chi Minh's 1945 declaration of the Vietnamese independence, in which he, on September 2nd, 1945, in front of a crowd of hundreds of thousands, Ho Chi declared Vietnam an independent nation, and he began his speech with what was familiar to all American school children, where he said, all men are created equal. They are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We know what happened after that. The Vietnam War. East Timor, when it declared itself independent from Portugal on the 28th of November of 1975, this is where the CIA went in there and they killed 600,000 inhabitants. And I've played on my show the clip there from Amy Goodman talking about how the CIA had a checklist. And the CIA would give a name, they go out and kill them, and they come back, they check it off, and they give them another name. And this is what goes on, is because they hate independence. And when you look at it, historically, when people fall from favor from the empire, their targets have been Argentina, Brazil, Cuba, Chile, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Uruguay, Venezuela, and this goes on. And what do we always hear in the news is all this, and there's a reason for that. They call these banana republics for a reason. They are the breadbasket for the United States. America doesn't have the growing seasons like they do. Just like in the case of the Middle East, they grow oil. So don't you find it interesting that a soldier who is told today that they are fighting for their freedom and democracy and yet are sent to those areas who also want their independence and their freedoms, as well as to have their own governments elected by and for their own people that aren't internationally accepted, so they must be overthrown. And to sit there and listen to Secretary Pompeo talk, we mentioned this before about Hong Kong's autonomy over there, while at the same time trying to, still bombing Syria, trying to overthrow Venezuela, Iraq telling the U.S. government to get out with their military. I mean, can't people actually see what's going on? Any comments on that, Steve?
They've been dumbed down. Like I said, Americans are consumed with a lot of trivia. You can ask a lot of people this question here about what their sports. They know the sports scores. They know the statistics of the baseball heroes. I don't know why they just don't seem to take any interest in politics. And I've heard them often say that they're all lying to us, so why bother? And that kind of bothers me that somebody would have that attitude to say, well, they're accepting the fact that your politicians, your representatives who you vote for are lying to you on a regular basis, and that's acceptable. I never quite understood why they'll agree that the politician doesn't tell us the truth, and they seem to say they all do that, and they buy into some kind of acceptability that, well, that's just the way it is.
Well, that
I don't know why that's acceptable.
That's being painted by the same people that have been lying to us about everything else. We're listening to the mainstream media to hear that we're all believing their stuff, or we're not, strongly protesting and stuff like that. I think there's probably a lot more of that going on. They're covering it up. They're censoring it. They're making sure that this whole quell of rebellion in the society going, no, we're tired of being lied to. People are hungry for the truth, a lot more so than what we're being allowed to hear about. They're trying to manufacture the reality.
Yeah, I also believe that I believe Americans are too comfortable, Dave, and that
not anymore.
Until there's a fire lit under their rear ends, and they become very, very uncomfortable, then they activate, and then they start asking questions, and then they start rising up to challenge and ask questions, and the opposition there. Right now, Americans are still a little too comfortable. Now, this COVID-19 did test a lot of people, but for some reason they didn't ask the questions. They didn't use any common sense or critical thinking. They simply believed in the government.
About that.
Well, yes. the government's been lying to them all along. They know that. And here is a time where they could have challenged and questioned and hear me. They're telling you to lock down. They're taking away your economics. Stay inside.
Steve, that's
changing your life drastically. Now, this is a drastic move by government. And why didn't anybody challenge this? Why weren't people asking, wait a minute here, we need more investigation into these things, and they didn't get that. But they didn't ask the questions. They simply believed what they were being told, locked down, and then they get a little stir crazy, and then they start to challenge things. After they get a little stir crazy, they challenge things, and here we are right now. Now we're locked down again because of riots that have been started, manufactured, created, and now we're told to go back inside again. And nobody's questioning, wait a minute here. I mean, this is not rocket science. To see that this stuff has been manufactured. They're not ready for you to go out yet. They want to destroy the economy, and they have another agenda. They haven't destroyed it yet. Not enough.
Yeah,
they already said that it was going to take 2 years before all this stuff would pass and the lockdown would end very early on. So yeah, let's look at that. I tell you, this is bad. But once all the bread and circuses are removed, people do start getting a little bit more antsy. The tension is building and building and building, and it's looking for outlets. And they were counting on that to be able to channel all of that tension and angst into these riots that divide people, to start this conflict on the street where we're fighting each other rather than getting together and going after the common enemy that has been lying to all of us.
Yeah. It reminds me of George Bush there on 9/11 there, where he stood there before with all those firefighters and his arm around the firefighter. He says, not only do we hear you, but the world is going to hear America. And now you look at all the suicides from the U.S. soldiers being sent over there for these wars on lives. But anyway, we'll be right back here with what really happened here right after this commercial break, so stay tuned.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on.
Welcome back, everyone.
Can't get
This
no
is what
way,
really happened here with
can't
Keith
draw
Rogers
no
sitting
pay.
in with for Mike Rivero here.
Unemployment getting worse
And our timing's off because Mike is so used to doing his show and he has his own way he does that. So sorry about that. But anyway, Steve has a story here, and I'm going to add something to this, but it's about this COVID-19 here. And I wanted Steve to bring that out since he's more of the nursing relevance there. So go
Let
ahead,
me
Steve.
mention one thing, excuse me. Hearing it one thing before we start that article there. Something came to my attention also. Carol, one of our good friends, listeners, called in today and asked me something to talk about it. And I wanted to mention that real quick before going to this next article. If you watch that video with the law enforcement coming on the scene, they're not medical professionals. Those were law enforcement or crisis actors, one or the other. As I said, they skipped all protocols of an EMT or a paramedic. Not one protocol was followed. These were not medical professionals. But in that video, she mentioned that the kneeling officer, Chauvin, was kneeling on the neck, not the throat, the neck, and saying, get up, get in the car, get up, get in the car. Well, how's that possible when somebody is kneeling on your neck? It sounded scripted, but it was off script, and it didn't make any sense at all. And I have to agree with what Carol said. You're telling somebody to get up, but you're kneeling on their neck. That doesn't make much sense at all. So I just want to point that out before I get this next article
There's
here.
still 2 additional officers holding down his rear end and his legs too.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense.
Yeah.
You're talking about this article about the pediatricians, about the children?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, there's a new article just came out. It actually came from WYTV Radio and TV, channel 33, actually ABC. The title is Pediatricians Looking into Cause of Inflammatory Disease Making Kids Sick. I'm just going to read the caption here. The mysterious illness is showing up across the country. And actually, it just said it started off in Ohio, so I'm not sure why across the country. And again, using a little more fear campaign because it's not across the country yet. And doctors think it may be a response to the COVID-19 virus itself. What it turns out to be is something brand new. And the number of cases of pediatric is called pediatric multi-system inflammatory syndrome. Sickening children across the country is continuing to grow. Right now, the mysterious illness is being linked to COVID-19. Experts are actively investigating its cause. We already have experts on the scene here. Isn't that amazing? It just came out. We were just aware of a new illness that affects children, evidently, inflammatory response, and we already have experts. Amazing. They say you got to catch these key words when you see these articles. They already have experts. So, getting more into this here, they speculate, and I don't want to emphasize speculate, but being infected by the virus doesn't do much to the kids, but it does trigger an immune response that many, many weeks later causes the body's immune system to attack its own organs. It has a lot of the symptomology of Kawasaki's disease and toxic shock syndrome, which I have seen a lot of, mainly back in the 90s when women were not changing their tampons.
Wasn't that
as
first
frequently as they should be.
mentioned over in China too, that Kawasaki disease?
I've got to refresh my memory on it. To be honest with you, I'm not going to try to fudge on that one. It's been a long time. I remember reading about it. I'm going to have to refresh my memory, so I'll go back and look at that again. But I have maybe seen one case in my 27 years of Kawasaki's. So that's why it's probably not in my memory banks right now to educate you on that. But toxic shock syndrome, I have seen a lot of that from surgeries, packing that was left in, women who've left tampons in for too long a period of time. And I've seen that quite a bit. But the symptomology is very much the same. It's severe abdominal pain, loss of appetite, a swelling around the abdomen, fever, rashes, the red eyes, and joint pain. When I first read this, I started thinking, well, here it comes. Here's the fear campaign. Here's the fear porn using children, of course, because that seems to get people alarmed very, very fast. Now, we know they're working on a COVID-19 vaccine. We know they are. They theorize it'll be done before the end of the year. But now they have a reason to actually expedite and push it through much, much faster because, well, we have children now involved. Have you two ever seen a politician ever vote against a bill against children? Have you ever seen that happen?
No.
Never.
You know, Steve.
You're not
Steve,
going
that,
to.
Yeah, Steve, that goes with that other one from the FDA, medical devices, letters to the healthcare providers, where it says the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, recommends that healthcare providers continue to use these serological tests intended to detect antibodies to the SARS-CoV-2. Anyway, it goes down though, and it says the FDA is not aware of an antibody test that has been validated for the diagnosis of this SARS-CoV-2 infection. And then on my conspiracy page that I have, it says, dated March 16th, 2020, it says this ELISA regions for detections of SARS-CoV-2 antigens such as S and N are still in urgent need and would provide another test highly complementary to the viral RNA detection. So that we're getting into the genes and stuff. So, but it says the sixth question concerning how the COVID-19 should be treated and to what treatment options should be made available. It says the COVID-19 is a self-limiting disease in more than 80 patients. And what is self-limiting? It says until the body cures itself by forming the sufficiency of its immune substances. So it's all a hoax. Get over it. That's what the basically is saying. Anyway, we'll be right back. Stay tuned, and we'll have more news coming up.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Red Pill Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
Is the Second Amendment your line in the sand? Is the United States Constitution important to you? Are you worried about gun confiscation? You need to join us for free at gunconfiscation.com. At gunconfiscation.com, you will meet like-minded patriots, get the latest Second Amendment news, and find anything you need to prepare for gun confiscation. Visit gunconfiscation.com today. That's gunconfiscation.com. Which side are you on?
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. You will hear this offer only on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After one day of taking Extendovite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendovite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant them anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Keith Rogers here from What Really Happened, filling in from Mike Rivero here. And Steve has some more to fill in on this. So go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, this pediatric multisystem inflammatory syndrome. Boy, I tell you that's a long sentence there, isn't it? But yeah, when's the last time you saw a politician ever vote against a bill for children? They don't, because that's a campaign. That's a killer. If you're a politician, you can never say no to a child here. So I see this as another ploy, another part of the agenda here to expedite and get the COVID-19 vaccine out much faster than it normally would be. They're not going to have time to actually do the serious trials on this vaccine, but it won't matter because the FDA is going to get the approval. They're going to approve this very fast. Supreme Court has already given a pass as far as liability to the pharmaceuticals if something goes wrong with their vaccine. But, it's the child. My God, we got to save the children. Always save the children. And so they're going to expedite this thing. Here's just another way to get this thing passed much faster. Have people really not use any common sense and thinking and not ask any questions and simply roll their sleeves up and take another vaccine. I've talked about the vaccine that is coming here, which they anticipate having between 2 and 4 vaccinations for the COVID-19 virus itself. Well, what does that spell out to you? It spells out to me a very low effectiveness if you need 4 of them. We talk about
Yeah.
low percentages with the flu vaccine, and now you're telling me, well, I need 1, 2, 3, 4 vaccines for the COVID-19 virus. That spells out to me, ding, 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 the little light bulb goes on. It's low percentage, maybe gets a little bit better, and the accumulation effect of vaccine, and you might, at that fourth vaccine, maybe you're going to hit 35, 40%, which, by the way, is still not a passing grade.
If
It's
you're
an F.
lucky. There's
It's an
something
F.
else. There's something else we need to consider here, because when you have the immune system going after healthy cells, that doesn't normally happen unless you've gotten in and monkeyed with the immune system. So maybe it's some kind of biological warfare component to the virus. Maybe they're just staging this so they have a cover when the vaccine does all that stuff. Oh, that's just the COVID-19. Don't worry about that.
Good point,
you know,
David.
Because this is evil. This is absolutely evil stuff. And yeah, they're not going to vote against things for children. But wait a minute. How about this mandatory vaccine? We're going to have to shoot all this poisonous, toxic stuff into our kids, turn their immune systems against them, and cause all sorts of unspeakable lifelong chronic illnesses. This is really bad stuff, and they're being very reckless about it. And like you said, they've been indemnified. So they're going to make it mandatory, and you can't have any course of action to recover from the damage that it caused. This is bad. This is really bad.
Very bad.
Every video of George Webb, he calls it a bioweapon. Remember, he tracked this down from the war games that were being held over in China, and all those people that were ahead of NATO that attended those war games there. Then suddenly there was the outbreak there. But what gets me is just what you said, Steve. They keep pushing these flu vaccines on you, and yet the CDC's own website says between 55,000 and 80,000 people annually die of the regular seasonal flu.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine takes the flu shot every single year. I've been trying to warn him about this. And every single year, he gets sick for almost 2 months from the flu after he's had the vaccine. It doesn't work. It makes people sick over and over. And how many times do you have to get sick from this to realize this is not effective?
Well, you know, Dave, they've actually, the premise of a vaccine is to make sure that your body has a reaction. It builds up antibodies to that, and you have immunity in the future. You'll never ever have to take that vaccine ever again, because like your MMR and other vaccines. Once you get it,
you're going to have a booster shot.
But what they've
next
done
year,
now,
the year
what the
after, the year
pharmaceuticals,
after that. Oh yeah.
what the pharmaceuticals have done now, they've changed the rules. They've changed the rules. Now they got caught. They realized that the percentages weren't there, but so they came back. They retooled the campaign for the vaccine and said that essentially, you may still get the flu, but there's the big but, that the symptoms will be not as severe as if you hadn't taken it. If you hadn't taken it, severe symptoms, but if you take the vaccine, you might get lucky and not get it, but if you do get it, the symptoms won't be quite as severe. Now, that's a new selling point on a vaccine, but it doesn't apply to anything else. It does not apply to any other vaccine. It just applies to the flu vaccine. So they're now selling the idea you still may get it, but the symptoms won't be quite as severe now. That goes against the entire premise of what a vaccine is intended to do,
Yes, it
which
does.
is bring immunity, not lessen the symptoms of that disease.
Well, you just mentioned that, though. Doesn't it, as you say, build up the immunity? And yet, as the NCBI webpage says itself, that the COVID-19 is self-limiting disease in more than 80% of the patients. And it goes on to say that most, if all, acute diseases are self-limited. And it
Self-limiting, right.
Yeah, it says
Which
until
means
the
your body's going to build up antibodies to it, and you're going to be immune for it.
So
Yeah,
if you
for the
have these
future.
antibodies, what's the sense of injecting yourself?
Well, what's the purpose of an immune system? For some reason, I
Yeah.
see all these people walking around with masks. Evidently, they don't believe in their immune system, and it's strange because, well, now the masks have become kind of a fad. Now it's kind of a fashion statement, but you see the fear in the eyes. We're a nation of sheepish people now walking around with masks, and the fear in their eyes when they see somebody approaching them that does not have a mask. It's
Okay,
quite amazing
you
that
had a really good point there, Steve, about the self-limiting factors of this disease. And that is exactly why we shouldn't be keeping all the healthy people from getting exposed to this. Because once all the healthy people get exposed, and it goes to all the self-limitation here, everybody becomes immune. You get this air quote herd immunity, and this stuff goes away. And that's
Right.
more effective than a vaccine ever would be.
That's
but no,
right.
we have to stay inside. We can't be exposed to this. So we have to go get their godforsaken shot.
Right.
Wow. How stupid is this?
Yeah. Well, it is exactly that. Stupid.
Yep.
I don't know.
Even Twitter. So anyway, to me, it's all a control thing. Like you mentioned, these face masks and stuff. People aren't allowed into certain businesses, and I know people now are just saying, well, if they don't want my business, fine, like that, you know.
That's
And even you have said to Steve yourself that if they're wearing the mask, then they're protected. Why worry about you then, right?
That's right.
So
Yeah, I had an
anyway.
altercation over the weekend in a store, a grocery store. I defended a woman's right not to wear the mask. The guy said, "You need to get farther away from me." And I stood ground with her, and I said, "Well, so what's your worry? What's your complaint here? You have a mask on. If your mask is effective and you believe in your mask is going to keep you safe, then we could all be infected, but we're not, I'm sure. But what's your gripe? What's your worry? Well, we should all be wearing a mask." Then he opened up a can of worms. I'm surprised law enforcement wasn't called, because I went off on the guy, a black guy, big black guy. And I finally finished it off with, you're trusting of your government. You really need to do more homework as far as trust on government here. They've lied to you so many times here. And may I suggest you please go home and look up the Tuskegee Airmen experiment. This is the government that you believe now.
Right.
Do that for me. And then I ended the conversation and before the police did arrive, but I did back the woman up, that her right not to wear one. And several of us did not have masks on, but he was making an issue. You need to step back further. And she said, "No, I'm far enough away from you. You don't have to worry about me. You have a mask and I don't have to wear one." And so we just got to push back on this stuff much harder.
Yeah, Carl Schwartz, he was a Washington insider during the Bush era. And he's over in the Czech Republic now, but they have over there, and I'm sure you've seen the Italian videos of their parliament just screaming like mad about this whole thing being bogus and everything. But Nanotechnologies and others over there have filed a joint lawsuit against the United States government in this matter here. And it's challenging everything, because they have all the documented videos and everything of all these high personnel where they're talking about they haven't infected enough people, all the doctors that are coming out being told that they have to fake the results of the deaths and stuff. So as well as their own admitted sites like from FDA and stuff that says the same thing here, that if your body has if your own immune system has antibodies, then why are you pushing these injections and stuff? And it indicts the Gates Foundation. And not only for this, but for also all the work it's done against those in India and stuff, which has really caused and taken a lot of lives too,
Yeah. Well, this is they have no logic in their argument. They want everybody to be all the same. We keep hearing the rhetoric here. We're all in this together. And that's they use that term, that phrase for other things too. We're all in this together. We're all in this together, which means in the vaccine area here that we all must comply, no exceptions. So everybody must be vaccinated, because their argument doesn't stand. If you think if 50% get vaccinated and 50 don't, then those who've been vaccinated should feel no threat from the other 50% that do not want the vaccine. But no, this is about control. Keith, you agree? Dave, you agree? This is about controlling the people. You're not allowed to decide for yourself. We are, in control, and we're going to control you through all this fear porn. Yeah. Every aspect of it. Right.
Yeah. Last, I guess it was early spring last year, I was at the doctor's office, and 3 times while I was there, they asked me if I wanted my vaccine. And I had my cell phone with me, and I showed them the photoshopped images of where they put those red dots on the babies and stuff, and showed them where they got the source photo from, or like that. And the doctor says, "Yeah, so what? You need your vaccine." They are programmed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I actually had a disagreement with my my physician. He was trying to push the vaccine on me, and he knows I'm medical, so he didn't go too far with it. But I told him, I said, you know, there's still mercury in the vaccine. Some of the vaccines have mercury as an adjuvant. He goes, no, they don't do that anymore. I said, yeah, they do. And I showed him on a vial.
Read the insert.
It was not saying,
Yeah.
it was not saying as mercury. It's another form of mercury. And
Speaking of that-
he just stopped the conversation.
Yeah,
You know.
Dave mentioned something there
It ended.
about read the insert. On one of those vaccine things, I don't know if I have it on this phone here because I swapped phones there, but there was a picture of the vaccination thing, and highlighted yellow, it says, "This has not been proven to help at any with this, and whatever you're being vaccinated for, you know." So
Disclaimer.
why take it, you know?
Well, pharmaceuticals the vaccine industry is not the same as the industry of pharmaceuticals. The vaccine have a much different game plan, and they're not held liable. That's why they invented the vaccine court for the children's vaccines. But if you watch TV and you see all these pills that you can get for different, minimize the symptoms of a disease or what you have going on there, you notice at the end of the commercial, there's a long, long line of adverse reactions, all kinds of problems. You may suffer this, you may have this problem. And the worst scenario is this may cause death. Now, vaccines are not advertised on TV, and they do not have to advertise any possible adverse reactions from a vaccine. They are held not to the same standard that their pill popping stuff. They are not held to the same standards at all.
Yeah, and I sent you a thing earlier, Steve, where it showed that the United States is using a diagnostics type center, which is down in Australia. And I thought Donald Trump wanted to make sure that the cure came from America.
Well, I think, are you talking about a diagnostic center or a lab?
Yeah, it's a
Some kind of
lab
lab.
that's being used out of Australia down there. I sent you the thing on it earlier. and
Yeah,
I'm on a
but
different
I don't know why
computer.
they're doing that. That makes no
Yeah.
sense, because I've seen that happen though. I've seen that actually for x-rays, sending over to India, and somebody in India, a radiologist in India, will read the x-ray, send back the interpretation to us at the hospital. No idea why they're doing that, because you have radiologists in a hospital, but for some reason that's going on. But the idea that you would send test results, samples to another country to test, and then send back results. I mean, we got a serious delay anyway already with lab results, but now you're sitting into a foreign country and you don't even know what standards they're going with
Is that
there
like
at
that
all.
story
There's no
with
way
that-
to monitor that and keep an eye on that. So I've seen standards change from one hospital to another.
Yeah,
So
it's like
I
the-
can't speak for another country though.
Yeah, Steve, is that like where I forget where it was at, but it said that those monkeys had stolen that backpack that had those COVID-19 vials in it?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, is this to scare people more? Like, oh my God, they're going to throw one of those things and it's going to. Anyway.
Well, I think they're using the Australia thing here to tell you that the system is overtaxed. They don't have enough manpower. They don't have the facilities. They don't have the people to do all these tests. So this is an emergency, people. See, this is pressing the panic button. Really, that doesn't necessarily have to happen, but this is pressing the panic button that we must use a lab in Australia because we don't have the facilities. We don't have the people. This is how bad this is. So again, booga booga, push the fear campaign button. And now we must, exhaust this fear campaign, push it a little further.
It also gets back to the same thing we've been talking about education dropping. Remember that video yesterday where in outsourcing all these jobs, the amount of education in this country has dropped down so much that's why the U.S. was in conjunction with the Chinese Wuhan lab over there. They were actually funding it. The feds, again, remember, were buying dead cats from the wet markets over there. Why would the U.S. feds be buying dead cats over here to feed the cats? I mean, anyone can look that story up,
Yeah.
There's something nefarious going on about this. And to me, I think we're back to that plausible deniability thing. And of course, we know in the interim, the main cause is to blame China. It's China. Always blame someone else, never what you're doing. In the meantime, you still got Fort Detrick open, all these other labs, or the one over in Georgia, which even Putin himself said that he would actually obliterate if the U.S. didn't get it out of Georgia.
Right.
So.
And Plum Island. Let's not forget Plum Island.
Plum Island, yeah.
Big
Plum
one.
Island, yeah.
Plum Island. Yeah.
Yeah, remember Jesse Ventura did that that video on Plum Island.
Yeah, there's a book called Lab 257. What's really going on at Plum Island? I suggest listeners to read that book, Plum Island 257, Lab 257.
Yeah. All right, we got a break coming up here, but right after the break, I want to talk about a few things here that are going on domestically here for as far as politics and stuff. And it's going to be interesting here because it's going to involve like what Ralph Nader says, and also what the Veterans for Peace are doing here, and also what active duty military are doing. So stay tuned for this here. And then after the top of the hour here, since Steve was whining earlier, I'll let him take most of the second show here with Dave there, but I'll just be standing by here. So anyway, stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back here. What really happened? Here's some great commercials to listen to.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network.
Welcome back,
Here is
everyone.
your host, Michael Rivero.
Yeah. Every time I hear that Ease Off, I keep thinking of some guy getting rid of his wife out of the back of his trunk, saving his back. But anyway, like I say, at the top of the hour, I'm going to kind of turn this over to Steve a little bit here. But I want to get into some political stuff because I'm always into this good cop, bad cop. You know, the Democrats are bad, the Republicans are bad, and these are going to do this for you, and that's going to do that for you. I mean, to me, it's a total show. But anyway, Ralph Nader says Trump must resign now, attacking peaceful protesters with tear gas and rubber bullets. Well, I've seen the video. To me, it just looked like one of those shock type things that they were using. So that he can use a Bible as a prop in front of a historic church is a disgusting abuse of power. I sent a photo out earlier this morning where it showed the entire, I believe it was Congress or White House up there with the entire militarized police. It must be 40 or so cops up there to protect the establishment. You know, talk about a police state, but. To me, holding a Bible up after so-called allegedly gassing protesters in the street to do a photo op while his administration is bombing others, that's my opinion, or supplying others to Saudi Arabia who are bombing Yemen. That's not Christian. And then I wanted to bring this out here before the top of the hour. There was quite a few tweets last night from Veterans for Peace. One of them said, "We are hearing from people all over who are refusing orders." In the second tweet, it said, "Veterans for Peace condemns the inflammatory statements by Donald Trump, his declaration for calling for military troops on U.S. soil to quell people." And Senator Tom Cotton is in on that too, where he says, "Send in the troops." You know, he's also one of the first to bomb Iran and stuff too. You know, but his declaration of calling for military troops on U.S. soil to quell people exercising their First Amendment right. Well, if it's a peaceful protest, I would agree with that. But if it's rioting, that's something different. However, Veterans for Peace also said, "If you're in the military and seeking a way out of deployment against American movement to challenge police brutality and white supremacy, you're not alone." And then this reporter came out and she said, "The DOD has received zero requests from any states asking for military assistance." And there's another one here as part of that where it says, "If you're in the U.S. military, National Guard, and disturbed by the government is turning on its own people, do you want to resist or get out? There are people who can help, and it gives you the contact numbers." And there was a video shocker in there where it says, "Our military that has slaughtered millions of innocent people for Israel," and it bows to the knee of Antifa and BLM. And to watch those videos this morning of the U.S. military bowing in front of Antifa and BLM was a telling tale of the divide that is being brought up in this country here. And I still have that image of those U.S. soldiers over in Afghanistan. I was told it was 2011, but one of my military ham friends told me that it was 2010. And this is where the U.S. military is posing in front of their SS flag over there in Afghanistan. And this is on the cusp of knowing that the United States voted down that UN resolution to condemn the Nazis over in Ukraine, as well as Israel, under their never again premise, was supplying arms to the neo-Nazis over in Ukraine. And the Ukrainian soldiers, Nazis, are being sent to Germany, of where Americans are paying all German health care. So with that, top of the hour break here. We'll be back after that, and Steve can take up a little bit more here because I know he's got quite a bit of stuff to talk to you about too. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Give us a call, 800-313-9443. Join us on
the
air.
Phone lines are open. Yeah.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show, The Red Pill Hardcore, is hosted by activists that want to hear from you. the listeners. So, but you can get involved in the activism. Please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Take her, Steve?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead, take her.
Yeah, phone lines are open, 1-800-313-9443. You've all heard the term before, better luck on the third time. Third time's a charm. I think that's the way it goes. Third time's a charm. Did you notice that with this, what's going on right now with these riots, they're very orchestrated. I'm glad you brought that up yesterday, Keith, with the shirts, the masks, I can't breathe. Yeah, how organized is that? And I even showed my wife that, and she said, "Oh wow, you're right." So this is scripted. This is all very well organized. It's impossible to actually have the same shirts, the exact same shirts across the country. So we know this thing has been manufactured, the crisis. Media is telling us that we are a nation divided. I disagree. I think we have a lot of disturbed individuals. We have Antifa out there and people who decided this is a great opportunity to profit personally through theft or looting or whatever. And it's not about George Floyd anymore. It stopped being about George Floyd the day he died. The only people who really should have been out there protesting would be people in Minnesota, because it happened right there. And they should have gone to the city hall there. They should have gone to the police departments and make their case. And I am all for protests. We have a problem across the country. I think we do. It's not just isolated to Minnesota itself, but I think we have a lot of rogue cops out there. 15 to 20%, I would estimate. Bad apples, some of them coming from Iraq and Afghanistan, who can't seem to turn the switch off, the kill switch off. And so, yeah, they're going to be a problem. I theorized that long ago. That was going to be an issue with the returning vets going into law enforcement. We'd have this problem. But like I said, third time's a charm. Did you notice that they're pushing again? And this goes along with the Black Lives Matter. You're supposed to say that. You can't say all lives matter because that's racist. And I'm not sure why it is racist, but they're pushing this agenda that you cannot say all lives matter because it's Black Lives Matter and all lives matter. All. And the politicians aren't really saying that either because I'm not sure. It's just not very popular, I guess. They're pandering and they're not willing to say all lives matter because somebody has decided if you say that, that's a racist comment. And of course, racism or white supremacist, you can't say those things. You must say Black Lives Matter. Nothing else matters but Black Lives Matter. But I'm going to say it right here now. All lives matter.
Yep.
So, but the third rollout of the reparations for slavery, third time's a charm. Now that's just odd that this is the timing that is right now with riots and what's going on in major black cities here, that somebody says, hey, this is a good opportunity. This is the perfect time to roll out this slavery reparations right now, the reparations for slavery. It's a good time to roll it out right now. It's almost like a little blackmail going on to say, if you give us what we want, well, then we'll stop. We'll stop burning down. We'll stop looting. This is almost like what's happening now. They've decided that if we do this, we comply and give them reparations, and maybe they'll save the rest of the cities. They'll stop burning things down. That's what it is. It's a third time.
That was because it was commerce related, Steve. Anyway, I'll tell you what, you got 4 calls here. You might want to pick up Cam first, okay?
Sure, let's do it. And let me look at my thing here. Let's go to the calls.
Yeah, Cam in Australia down under. Cam, what's on your mind, bro?
Go for it.
Hello, just making some quick comments because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But you mentioned these vaccinations down in Australia, and our fake Christian Prime Minister Morrison threatened to remove child payments to parents in 2016 and banned them from the schools with his no jab, no play motto. And then in the COVID era, he tried to force the rugby players in COVID times to get a vaccination, and boasted of his track record with the kids before he became Prime Minister. I call him a fake Christian because he's part of the Hillsong church cult that love money more than they love God. And, you know, I fear that with the Bill Gates 666 vaccine, he'll force the mark of the beast on us. I have no confidence as to his, you know, he will sell us out. And one day he was asked about, you know, his Christian bona fides, and he basically wanted to, you know, he basically went with that he doesn't play religion. I'm thinking, gee, these people, you know, these little groups, leftist groups, they're religious. They play their leftist games all the time, and they're a little religious cults of their own, and he wouldn't stand up to him. So to me, you know, he's just another gutless person that calls him a Christian, but he's not really a Christian. You know,
No, I follow him on Twitter. He's an idiot.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And you know, I mean, Sky News, the local Fox News, will give him shade and a bit of propaganda. But you know, I you know, also I'm pretty much know he's very much associated with Hillsong, which is a Christian cult that has chapters in America. And like Bethel Church, they really don't. Their worship songs are a little, let's see, dodgy, let's say. And one last thing, in Minneapolis, before a couple of years ago, there was a black police officer who came from Sudan originally. His name was Mohammed Noor, and he gunned down an Australian woman that called the cops there. I think she was only in her 90 or something, and after a court case, they charged him and he went to prison, I believe. And so that was a big thing on Australian news. She was about to marry a local in Minneapolis, and so you know, the Minneapolis people our police department said they have dealt with some things like that, but they certainly haven't dealt with this George Soros cult. And it's about time some of these politicians got a spine, because we need to tell the politicians we're not going to vote for you if you're playing games with us. And there's a lot of games happening, as you have just indicated, with these political games have been going on with fake news and everything else. So there's really not much more to say than that, other than just to chime in and add to the whole vaccine thing. But certainly Morrison's are very, you know, obviously is being paid off or something like that with the vaccine thing. Yeah, well, amongst other things, yeah, obviously, but it's just a fake Christian as far as I'm concerned, and I have no confidence in him. And the other side would be worse, because, you know, he's ostensibly a Republican, if we use American terms, and the other guys are probably worse than him. So we are, so to speak, between the devil and the deep blue sea when it comes to Australian federal politics. But yes, they do have laboratories where people, they feel confident they'll be one of the first to bring the vaccine out for other places. So there's probably some truth in what you were saying before with that, yes.
All right, Cam. Well, hey, appreciate it. Yeah, I was going to say real fast here. I watch him as he plays lock stock to what the United States says, especially towards China and stuff, ramping up tensions towards China. You know, it's like, don't they realize that with all these, like in America, 50 million burger flippers, I call them, are out of work like that, and then the U.S. wants to lower its inscription age to 16, which, remember, assault rifles are bad at home, especially see what they did down there in the mosque down there, you know, and instantly they go after the guns and stuff. But the point is, but they're okay in the hands of a 16-year-old if he's in the military. Go ahead, Steve.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. You know, I've always asked the question, and people saying, why are things the way they are? You know, we've pointed out that George Soros and Obama, when they first came on with the Christopher Steele dossier, what was going on here, it was quite obvious what was going on behind the scenes, that this thing had been manufactured to take Donald Trump down. It was actually done prior to actually, you know, it was somewhere in the middle of the campaign, theorized just in case we need a backup plan. We need something to fall back on just in case. Not that he's going to win, because they thought they had this thing locked up with the fraud they had planned, with the voting fraud with Hillary Clinton, so which would definitely benefit her. But it just was a good backup plan. Well, the question has been out there many times before is, why is George Soros still around? I keep hearing this. Why is George Soros still allowed to do what he's doing? Obama clearly, both these people are clearly guilty of sedition, trying to undermine a legitimate government, trying to unseat a legally voted in president of the United States, and yet nothing is done. But then we go back to the FBI. We saw Peter Strzok. We saw Lisa Page. We saw all this going on, this collusion. Actually, this was a collusion. This was conspiracy to take out Donald Trump. And yet nothing happened. We found out that our FBI is rogue. A good portion of the FBI is rogue, yet nothing has changed. Donald Trump has not replaced people in the FBI. He hasn't dismantled it and said, well, reformulate and bring back an honest and honorable FBI. It just stays the way it is, and we continue on. And
well, one thing's for
you
sure,
got to ask yourself, when you have the power to do so, Donald Trump could change things and really go after, as he said, deep state, deep state. That was his campaign promise to us all. The deep state exists. We have voter fraud. I'm going to fix it all. Somewhere along the way, there was no more swamp, talk of the swamp, and you're allowed to continue on with these attacks on me, and I'm not going to take you down.
Yeah, well, one
Very
thing
odd.
for sure, Steve, one thing for sure is that something has happened. For 4 years, Donald Trump hasn't done anything for America here, and that was the main purpose of it. But anyway, well, let's get to the phone calls here. Chris in Vegas, go ahead.
Sure.
Chris?
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah,
And
good evening.
Hello,
this
Chris.
morning on another program that I do frequently, we had an audio tape, maybe it was a video from YouTube. It might have been a Nancy Morgan from L.A. And apparently, on close examination of this so-called prayer kneeling to Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they were wearing patches on their wardrobes from Central Casting, from the Big Red One, from First Cav or First Infantry, and it appears they, in the land of Holy Hoaxwood, as the case may be, they may have been Central Casting, or maybe Crowds on Demand, or perhaps Antifa Black Lives Matter actors posing as National Guard or a military man, and another false flag simulated event. Very close to maybe what happened with the George Floyd incident, from what closer examination suggests.
Well, you bring up a question there. It's like, who gave the cops the orders to go ahead and brick and smash their own car windows?
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of anti common sense, isn't it?
I mean, when you watch that on video of cops smashing bricks into their own cars and stuff, isn't that a crime?
Yeah.
Destruction of public property, or maybe
Yeah.
private property poses public property.
Either way.
Don't people see what's going on? Anyway, you got anything else for us, Chris? There, because we got to.
Well, it's certainly not without past experience that some people will actually hit themselves in the face or smash themselves on something hard to do damage and then blame the victim, like their spouse or significant other. So we got to watch these things very close and always be very suspicious of everything unless you know the facts.
That's right.
Know your back and check your facts and watch your back. Thanks
All right,
very
thanks.
much, guys.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Chris. We'll pick up Dustin in New Jersey there too. Okay, go ahead, Dustin.
Go for it.
Am I the most hated person on YouTube? Hey,
I don't-
guys,
I didn't see
Don't
it on
tase
YouTube.
me, bro. Don't
No,
tase me, bro.
probably not.
I
You
know.
need to work harder if that's your goal.
Like, they're all the comments are disabled. I want to see if people hate me. Isn't that my right?
It's your right. It's your right.
Don't
I mean,
don't
yeah,
feel bad,
don't-
Dustin. Don't feel bad. I can put a comment on and go back and check it within a minute, and it's gone. So
Well, I'm happy to report I got no nasty emails from last night's broadcast.
I got two
so
good
thank
ones. I got two good ones.
You guys
Steve.
are doing a great job, man. I like you guys. You guys should do once or twice a week with Mike Rivera. You ever think about that? Doing like a show with multiple, with maybe all you guys. I wish Mike would do 3 hours because there's probably people who can't get in touch with him because they're out working.
Actually, I think Mike is very happy to be doing 2 hours now.
Yeah,
I think that
3
works for him.
hours a day, Dustin. It takes a lot out of you for all the show prep, trying to get all the talking points. You guys don't really realize how much goes into all these shows every single day. There's a lot of work behind the scenes and maintenance on the website, getting all of the stories posted. It's very, very demanding. So that's a tall order, brother.
Yeah.
Well, what about you guys doing the 3rd hour and mix it up a little?
I'm not always going to be available. I'm just lucky right now. I finished my contract and I've got a little time off now. I'm not always going to be available. My Sunday I am, but that's it.
And I have dogs to snuggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually having dinner about the time the 3rd hour is rolling around. Hey, we'll get in here and contribute as much as we can, though. We appreciate your kind words, though.
No, I'm going to talk about. Hey, do you guys see that the Department of Justice has hired Blackwater Academy XE to have like basically mercenaries patrolling the streets? Did you see that?
Yeah,
the video.
I did see that. Yeah.
No tags, no names. That's mercenaries, guys. That's contractors. Yeah. That's what they use. The State Department uses. Yeah. Silver Corps.
Yeah, Dustin, I noticed
Silver
that.
Canopy.
Dustin, I noticed that Ryan had stuck up a video there. It showed that Antifa had been torching a house that had children in it, and also they're not just active here; they're active over in Greece too by burning buildings and stuff. So this is moving to something that a lot of people don't really look at.
Maybe the virus was the first wave. This is the second wave, and you're also going to have a third wave. Maybe a fourth wave.
Well, there's going to be a third, no doubt about it. There's going to be a third. I guarantee you.
Hey, where's all the video footage? Hey guys, where's the video footage of the bricks being brought there? Have you guys seen any video footage of actually?
There was Dustin. If you search for it, there's a torrent out there that has a collection of videos. It was 3 some odd gig of where they'd put it into a massive torrent. So people aren't dumb; they're storing this stuff.
Well,
I've always found it's kind of weird is that we're living in a high-tech society. Where are the drones? Where are the police drones patrolling the city with police drones to find out the location of people dropping bricks off and bringing the resources for the riots?
And the facial recognition.
Because they already know where it's
all this
all
technology
coming
we
from.
have.
They're in Saddam Hussein's secret bases. Remember, they're the size of like a video game controller. Remember that? His drones, when they opened up the hangar, it was like slightly bigger than a DVD. That was the drone that was going to spray everybody. Remember with chemical weapons during the Iraq War? You guys remember that? The little drone? They said Saddam had drones, remember? But I'm going to leave you guys with this, okay? Now think about this for a second. Why didn't Trump do any press conferences at night with like a daily, like an emergency briefing? Why is Mattis and all these people coming out and Esper, wasn't he like the CEO of like Lockheed Martin or Boeing? Like where is everybody? Where's the leadership? Like where the hell is everybody? What's going on? They're just letting it happen.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Dustin, we got to cut you. Yeah, Dustin, we got to get you out of here. We've got 4 more callers. Okay. So Mark, thank you, Dustin. Yeah, Mark and Philly, you want to grab in there?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're on, Mark.
Okay. So I have several things to share. And by the way, Steve, I very much respect that you're doing your best to be a part of the medical care system and hold to a high standard. I appreciate that about you. I know that there are many in the healthcare system that are trying to do that, but it's not about the individual, it's about the system. And so I'm about to share some things with you. But before I go there, I just want to let you know, I'm kind of on the front edge of things here. This Philadelphia is a different world. Philadelphia is a different world. Philadelphia's been around a long time. It was almost the capital of our nation. It's extremely corrupt and has been from pretty early on. Very, very corrupt. Okay. Anyway, I am
Our
a
break
veteran,
is coming
as I
up.
share with you guys.
Mark. Hey,
Okay,
Mark, our break
you want
is
to
coming
hold?
up here. So, yeah, we'll hold John. Okay with it, okay? Anyway, stay tuned here. This is Keith Rogers with Steve Elkins and David, and we'll be right back here on What Really Happened.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new EaseOff Model EZ4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my EaseOff?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new EZ4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. EaseOff LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And we're back. This is, I was going to say off the beaten path. I'm so used to saying that. What really happened? Sitting in for a little bit with Steve, with Dave and Keith. I wanted to answer a question from Dustin here. He was talking about, what's going on here. This is so unreal, but it is definitely so scripted. And Dave is our tech guy here. He is very tech savvy, very smart. And he mentioned the facial recognition. We have so much technology out there that we're not using, which is amazing. So I just made a little list here I wanted to bring up. We have the drone technology, which was designed for weapons for war. Actually, it's got all kinds of capabilities for weaponry and for recording. And we got the facial recognition, and we got cameras all over the city. Everywhere you look, cameras to film, to take video to come back, and we can recognize who's doing the damage. But one item that I just remembered that we have, it was created for actually and used, deployed in Iraq, I believe. It was the ADS system, the active denial system, which is essentially a big giant radar dish, kind of a microwave radar dish, which actually was created for crowd control. Was one of the things they created it for, but they also thought they'd use it against the enemy to push him back beyond enemy lines here, to push him back. Here we have a great opportunity to use all this technology that we've, by the way, your tax dollars are paying for. We have all this technology to stop it, and yet we are not trying to stop it at all, which means if you're not trying to stop it, that means you want it. That's the way I look at it, because we have the technology to stop all this, and we're not. The ADS system should be in place. It should be right there. And if it gets out of control, you simply flip the switch on this thing and push people back. They heat up, they stop. And we're not using the technology. It's like I said, if you don't want to stop it, you're not using the technology, then to stop it, then you must want it. They want this thing to go where it's going. Because again, we talked about the control issue here. What happens in fear is that people give their powers, their freedoms, their rights away in order for a little bit of security. The government grows stronger and gets more power, control over the people here. And that's what we have. We have a clear case of a tyrannical government here, growing leaps and bounds by using more fear campaigns. And this is not over. Dustin is correct. There is a third and possibly a fourth before the elections come. I guarantee you they're not done destroying the economy. They're not done grabbing more power for themselves. They're not done looting this nation of its wealth. And when they're all said and done, when it's all over, there will be no middle class anymore. Middle class will be gone. I'm done.
Okay.
Cool. Continue with your caller.
Okay, get back to the callers here. We got next up. We still got Mark though, don't we?
Yeah.
Mark and Philly.
Yeah, still got Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you, Mark.
Okay. So what I wanted to share is that it seems like most people now are reacting out of the appearance of things, and for the longest time, the media and the cultural Marxists behind what's coming at us, and it's been coming at us for quite a long time, have got people in their head, and it's kind of like Chinese ping pong in their head, bouncing back and forth. They can't really figure things out. That's on purpose. So, and many people have become comfortably numb, and they think that, there's a choice here. Some people chase after money. Some people chase after truth. Now, they think that they're chasing after the money is going to solve their problems, and it might solve a few in the short term. But in the long term, these other recurrent problems keep coming back and back and back. So, in honor and respect of my ancestors, I seek the truth. And 2 years ago, by the way, I got the hint that it doesn't matter who wins the election, because the evildoers that are behind this stuff, the evil power doers or no good doers, they're coming at us, and we are going to be in a major confrontation. So, and we good people have kept moving the line in the sand, giving in. At what point do we stop and say, not no, but hell no, no more moving the line in the sand, and that's it? So the military industrial complex, people are aware of that, but we have a medical industrial complex, and it is systemic. So the thing is, in honor of my ancestors and our ancestors, is to go to the root. The root. Where did the current medical care system come from? It came from Rockefeller, who, by the way, his father was a snake oil salesman in the 1800s. And John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in our history, in the world history, he really liked that. So he's the one that established the early days of the FDA, which later became the FDA. And he also bought up all the medical schools, and he closed half of them. And he set forth a curriculum, which was pathology, which, by the way, is the study of death. I'm just boiling it down here. I know you've studied these kinds of things, Stephen, because you have to in the medical care system that we have. But it seems to me that it's a study of death. It's not a study of health. But in the other part of it is slow death. So, and the remedy for that, according to the current health medical care system, is a drug. The largest healthcare provider in the United States is the Veterans Healthcare System.
It is.
And
hey, Mark, I need to move
so
on
you
here.
think-
Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. We'll come right back. This is What Really Happened, Steve. I'm at the mic here, and I've got Dave and I've got Keith with me. We'll be right back.
Yeah, what he said.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Brain is going crazy. Too much on my mind.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
When we return, this is What Really Happened. Hey, Dave, you had some comments you wanted to make before we get on to our next caller. What was your comment?
Well, I think Keith actually had some breaking news for us about Israel bombing Syria, and I think that'd be kind of important. So Keith, what was it that you were saying about that?
Well, remember, Netanyahu's in a plight over there. They had those massive demonstrations where everyone was socially distancing 6 feet apart and everything like that. His administration, you want to call it that, is going down there. And of course, Bibi needs a massive distraction, same thing. And so the Israeli Air Force is over there bombing Syria right now.
Interesting.
It just
A
never
sovereign
stops.
country. A sovereign
Yeah,
country.
it just never stops. They're gonna start a full-on conflict, and they'll expect the United States to come to their rescue after they get a black eye. Great.
Right.
Just what we need. Hey, we're funding all this stuff. Our tax dollars are what's funding all this stuff.
Yeah, another story is about these dangerous nanoparticles that are contaminating many existing vaccines there.
Okay.
And will that be in the COVID vaccine? So anyway, we need to get these calls here. So Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, let's go back to the calls. Chance in West Virginia, you're on. Chance, are you there?
We lost him.
We lost Chance.
Wait,
All right, let's go to Fred in Michigan.
Fred.
Fred in Michigan, you're on.
Wolverine Fred here.
Hey, Fred.
Hey, so Fauci on 12 May, in response to Senator Committee Boy XXX Romney regarding a forthcoming effective vaccine. Did you all hear that declaration by Fauci by any chance?
No, I did
on
not.
the 12th of May. Heard it on Chris's Road Warrior Radio. So Fauci's immediate response was based on the extraordinary immune function response in the bodies of the presenting corona COVID positive patients, or, well, they weren't positive at that point, but flu-like, right? He said, based on that extraordinary performance in combating, clearing the virus invasion, he said, next word, conceptually, we think we should have an effective vaccine that will replicate the body's immune function response. So he initially admitted and corroborated there is absolutely no need for a vaccine.
Right.
Just as the Bakersfield KERO23ABC.com press conference proves by those doctors there identifying the spontaneous innate immune function response, IgG, IgM. And then you have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Citing the evidentiary proof via, let's see, he had legal action against the CDC. By the way, Fauci, via CDC, has been funding the Centers for Disease Creation and Promotion in Wuhan. Just like Gates gave a $80 million reward endowment to Imperial College on the very day Niels Ferguson engaged in its theoretic hyperdimensional speculative data download regarding KIAs in the UK and over here, which all subsequently proved to be totally fallacious. Then you have the sheriff, Mojave County Sheriff Doug Schuler, and I'm absolutely dismayed no one has reached out to him to interview him. This is a guy who said the recommendations from Mr. Fauci are just baseless pseudoscientific recommendations, which then are transferred into executive orders, which are equally fraudulent, fallacious. Therefore, I'm not going to criminalize my fellow citizens by enforcing this garbage. And then I brought up to you all that all you got to do is connect with your state senators, state reps, and demand the legislative act mandate that compels compliance by business owners. That's a contract, isn't it? A business license is a contract.
Yeah,
so
it is. Well, it's actually asking for permission, Fred. It's asking for permission. The permission
it's
slip
a contract.
is what it is. Yeah.
It's a contract, period. Driver's license is a contract. Adhesion contract, unrevealed. Okay, so let's all see what is delivered relative to proving that there is a legislative act mandate compelling compliance to executive orders, because it would have to be precisely elucidated. And according to Sheriff Doug Schuler, none such mandate exists. So this blind faith obedience is absolute hogwash.
Yeah,
it's Talmudic Kabbalah hogwash.
Okay.
Induced.
Hey, Fred, I got a bunch of calls stacking up on here. I appreciate your call. I do need to move on though. We're gonna go back to the phones here, and Bobby in Florida, you're on the show.
Hey, you guys, can you hear me?
Yep, hear you
go ahead.
fine. What's on your mind?
Let me turn my. Okay, yeah, man, I love you, Keith. I love listening to your show. How you talk about what went on in the '80s down there with the School of Americas. I knew that stuff when I was in my 20s. People don't even know that. People, the
Wait till
American
Sunday's
people
show.
are just ripe for picking. We're a bunch of idiots. I'm not. I'm not gonna say, but I mean, nobody knows. I don't know. I know you guys got a lot of calls coming. But listen, here's my analysis of it all. For one thing, I would go in there with a Huey. I've seen these videos of people being beat to death, black people and white people beating people to death with bricks. Why hasn't the National Guard went in there and cleaned that mess up? I don't understand. They're not they don't want it to be cleaned up. What you have is Bolsheviks. What you have is the Red Terror going on here. On one side, I was worried 2 weeks ago about them coming around here and giving me a vaccination shot that I don't want. Now I got to worry about people, coming in my yard or whatever, or looting my neighborhood. What's not going on here? I live right down the road from me there, Steve. So I'm in Zephyr Hills. That's a little town here in Florida.
Yeah,
Mix the water and all.
you guys have a spring
way I
there,
see it is
Zephyr
you've
Hill
got,
Springs. Yeah,
You've got the Bolsheviks on the left, and you've got the Zionists on the right, and together it's the same thing that happened 100 years ago. I done said my piece, you guys.
Okay, appreciate that. Gotta go back to the phones here. Mark in Georgia, you're on the show.
Well, I hope Rivero's okay, right?
Oh yeah, he's just recuperating.
yeah. He's just getting some much needed rest and getting a few things.
that's-
So, no, he's
very
fine.
good. Well, I was just thinking of this other Rivero. You know, they ultimately found Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction. They were in Al Capone's vaults.
Yeah. So Geraldo found them. Great.
And Geraldo Rivera gets
the
credit
other
for it. Right?
Geraldo Rivera, not our Rivero.
I remember that
I was
quite
wondering,
well.
what can you tell me about Pleurisys? Because I was reading this 19-year-old young woman who was required by her employer to wear masks like 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. You got to. It's corporate policy. And then when she gets sick from pleurisys, if I'm pronouncing it correctly,
Pleurisy.
is an inflammation of the pleural membranes, correct?
Yeah, pleurisy. Yeah.
And, yeah, and the thing is, it's like they're telling us that these masks actually protect us when they can actually make you sick if you use them too much, right?
Right. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because let me give you a little information and let you go back on it. Is that if you think about it, a lot of these things actually I've mentioned that an N95 actually filters out 95% of the particulate. Your surgical mask, which is odd, should do much better or equal that of the 95. It actually gives you around 65 to 67%. Now, these people walking around with the bandanas, I laugh at them because you're getting around 4 or 5% with a single layer of a bandana. That's all you're getting for protection wise. But I did a little research here, and I started thinking about it, that when you're exhaling, now people who wear masks over and over for a period of time, my wife came home and started saying she's getting headaches. And I said, how long are you wearing the mask? Well, a good 6 to 8 hours. I said, well, I just figured it out here. What's actually happening here is that you're not clearly expelling all the CO2. It's a portion of it is actually coming back at you. So every time you blow out, you blow some CO2 through your mask, but you retain some and bring it back in. And what you do is you accumulate a higher CO2 over time. 6 to 8 hours, you're going to accumulate more CO2. You're going to bring on vasodilation. You're going to bring on some headaches. And that's
remember-
exactly what we're seeing here. Plus, you got to remember, with each respiration, you're blowing out fluid here. Your mask is going to get wet. And what does bacteria like? a nice, warm,
Moisture.
wet environment, perfect to culture. Yes.
And that's just like a pair of shorts and a pair of Levi jeans will stop a fart from killing your neighbor sitting next to you.
Yeah, we
or-
needed that. We needed that, Keith.
Wow.
Well, I'm
just
sorry.
My
concerned
week
about
is
all-
complete.
Like I put in the chat there, do you know a face cloth mask can double as a condom and be just as effective? I mean, these guys are idiots,
They're brainwashed. They ought to know better. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, because there was this lady when I went to pick up my prescription glasses. Well, I don't want to discuss it. I said, look, if you get sick, I said, you're willfully ignorant. I'm calling the police. And I'm like, oh, really? Look, you get sick, it's on you. Because those things are not protecting you, and they're going to cause you to get sick if you keep wearing them all day, every day, day
Yes,
in,
you
day
are.
out. You're going to get sick from wearing these things.
Right. You're exactly
And
right.
she took it as though, that I'm the one being hostile. It's like, no, you just said, you don't want to have a conversation. I just want to say one little thing to you, and that's it. You're going to get sick from wearing these things, and that's your own problem. And, I'm sorry you can't even be civil about this, but that's the thing is I see all these brainwashed people and I feel sorry for people at Walmart or other places where they tell them they have to. But I think one remedy is wear the face mask over your mouth, but leave your nose where you can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then you're not doing as much damage as you would otherwise, right?
That's true too, but that defeats the purpose of the whole mask. By the way, they're not called masks anymore. They're calling facial coverings. That's the new PC term for the correct. They're facial coverings. They're not
after all this
masks.
fear mongering, and after all this fear mongering about Muslims and their hijabs and all like that, and I'm like, well, you don't have a problem with nuns doing the same thing, now, do you? It's like, so
pretty much.
It's all
Well,
a
I tell you
question
what,
of
this
cultural
guy
context.
this guy I had an altercation with over the weekend. He didn't want to debate. He didn't want to talk about it. He was right. I was wrong. You should wear your mask. You should be a good little citizen and put your mask on because you're infecting everybody. And when I started to make my comments, he came back and says, I'm not going to talk about it. It's politics. It's not. He said, I'm not going to get political. That's the term he said. I'm not going to get political. I said, this is politics. You don't want to talk about this. This is politics. Your government telling you and you complying without asking any questions. This is political. And he didn't want to argue anymore. We just
games
kind of
running. Yeah, they could have the baseball games where selling tickets to the stadium is optional depending on which state you're in. But they're shutting this down, and I think that's really affecting the psyche too, because I'm, Six Flags here in Georgia, both the water park and the regular amusement park, they're both shut down because the government said so. And I'm like, this is insane. When are you going to open? Well, we haven't gotten permission from the state yet.
In a free country,
we need to have a way of saying, what was that?
In a free country, you need
well,
permission, right?
The governor himself can declare. The governor doesn't have to listen. He can say, no, this is not law. You may give a strong suggestion, but the governor can say, we're going to open up. We're going full forward. We're going forward with this. We're done with this nonsense.
Yeah.
And they
We need
refuse to
get a
do so.
petition going to Kemp. We need to get a petition going to our governor saying this nonsense of, I think the MLB and other sports should say, look, go on ahead and start with the baseball games, whether or not any state or city wants to sell tickets or, allows or bans people buying tickets to go to the stadium. That's up to you. But let's go on ahead with the baseball games because this thing has really gotten way out of hand, right?
Yeah, just find out if he's up for re-election, and that's where you start.
There you go.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you know as well as I do the game is rigged, right?
Yeah.
It is rigged.
Okay. Well, God bless, man. I look forward to chatting with you in the future. Okay. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
best
it.
to you.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Steve, pick
Let's
up
go
that
back
call.
to the phone here in Colorado. I guess I'm going to say this right. Bubba Scout Trib, Colorado. You're on there.
This is Bo Scout, Reb. We've been calling all over America because we're all over the internet. The only team in history to get around Justice Department. And we're at the Joint Chiefs for Immediate Action under U.S. Public Law 109-364, Section 1076. Eradication of the virus, the lockdown, the stupid, Muji Haji PD Guinea, we call them, the local 911 system. That's who's causing all these phony riots. And we got to the top levels of the Joint Chiefs. So you can call their number. The man, we do our job. But there's this Ground Zero program that starts at 1 a.m. Central Time. You don't even have to listen to it. You can dial in and just keep saying Bubba Scout Reb, 13-letter call sign. They know what this is all about at the top level. It's run by Special Operations at 877-733-1011. 877-733-1011. 1011. But the 733, and you all know that's a toll-free number. You call them, and you say, Bo Scout Rep, this thing's going to go. No more virus, no more riots. We're under this law when the governor said to his constituents, effectively drop dead code and another rotten thing. Then you can bring in troops to get rid of their entire 911 system and hang the governor. That's what we want done. And we mean it. We got total evidence through the U.S. with a monster created by the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency. And you just keep talking this up. It'll go everywhere. Aren't you wondering how something goes viral? The enemy broadcaster keeps showing it to you. This is viral. We're all over the internet.
Bubba Scout, hey, thank you for your call. Appreciate it. We got a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After one day of taking Extendovite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendovite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Is the Second Amendment your line in the sand? Is the United States Constitution important to you? Are you worried about gun confiscation? You need to join us for free at gunconfiscation.com. At gunconfiscation.com, you will meet like-minded patriots, get the latest Second Amendment news, and find anything you need to prepare for gun confiscation. Visit gunconfiscation.com today. That's gunconfiscation.com. Which side are you on?
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare.
And we're back. We're in that last little stretch here before we close out the show here. There will be a special guest host for John Stadmiller tonight. He is taking another day off. Eric Shrine will be taking over for John Stadmiller tonight.
Shine.
Is it Shine? Shine. Sorry, Shine will be taking over for John Stadmiller tonight, and maybe he'll be back in the chair on Friday. Dave, going to throw this to you. Any last comments here, or Keith? Any last comments from you guys?
Yeah. Well, I've got a last comment here. We need to get all the small money together, and we need to support Republic Broadcasting Network to keep us on the air. You can donate by going to republicbroadcasting.org. You can also call 800-724-2719, extension 3. And extension 1 is available from 1 to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And you can also send donations to the station or the network by sending cash, check, money order, gold, silver, whatever, to RBN 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. Very important for us to get together to be able to support this media, because we are the bastion of truth out there on the internet and across the airwaves, because the corporate media that is well funded is being paid to lie to you and to basically herd you into some very destructive stuff here. Fan up the race riots and all this stuff, divide, fight each other, that kind of stuff. We're trying to counter all this stuff, and we got our work cut out for us, and we can certainly use the support. And Steve coined a really good phrase out there: keep RBN alive, tell 5. So tell 5 people about RBN and have them tell 5 people, and let's build this audience. Let's get as many people here as possible. We've got a really great audience. We don't need to wake you guys up. You're really very well aware of what's going on. So let's get some new folks out here, start waking them up.
Sounds
and
good to me.
I have one more thing here for you guys. We played Gregory Manarino's video yesterday, and you know the dismal report of almost 2 million more being added to the unemployment line, and of course they keep saying, well, unemployment is falling. Okay, so it's not as drastic as having 10 million laid off at once, but you know, when I look at politicians and how they try to run things, Donald Trump early this morning had tweeted out, he said, I feel more and more confident that our economy is in the early stages of coming back very strong. Not everyone agrees with me, but I have little doubt. Watch for September, October, November. Next year will be one of the best ever, and look at the stock market now. In lieu of that, think of the Federal Reserve. They're buying up everything, even these junk stocks. And this is what's keeping the system going, as well as keeping the oil market going, what the U.S. depends on for its petrodollar. So it's all an illusion. And to me, it's just a big stall. And of course, September, October, November, well, we're preceding the voting. So
that's right.
It's a constant delay. And I worry about the way things are going, especially not only for myself, but for my daughter, my grandkids, and also for you out there, because if you haven't prepared for something in the future, you should now, because it's an illusion.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we should talk about next week the coming Cold War with China, because that is going to further destroy our economy. Let's see if we can talk about that next week.
And we're
thanks for tuning
time.
in for what really happened. We'll be back again next week, I think, and we'll sit down the round table and do it all over again.
Ryan Dawson's going to be covering it tomorrow, I think. So tune in and check that out. He's a real good host as well. We'll catch you guys next week. Stay safe and stay free.
And check our shows this weekend.
Travels. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, check our shows this weekend.
Yeah, Off the Beaten Path and Perception Management. Another good shows. Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everyone.